Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 242 based on novel. So let's start. However, just as his two fingers touched Yao Bingyun's forehead, Wang Lin suddenly paused. He stared at Yao Bingyun's pale face and silently pondered. Devouring another's domain is to take all of their Tao and use it as your own. However, the heavens' Tao is endless and Taos are boundless. Once I begin devouring, it will set a precedent and I will have to endlessly devour Taos in the future. As a result, I will end up walking down the same path of no return as the All-Seer. However, if I don't devour, I won't understand karma and it will remain illusory. Should I devour, or not devour? It was rare for Wang Lin to hesitate this long on a matter. He wasn't feeling compassion for Yao Bingyun, he was just seeking his own Tao. This step was extremely critical as this was the choice of Tao. Cultivators spend their entire lives cultivating Tao. Each person's Tao is different, depending on a person's feelings and experiences, their Tao is ever-changing. Everything in the world can be a Tao. The All-Seer once said that he has 3,600 incarnations and each incarnation controls a celestial spell. In my eyes, these 6,000 incarnation means he has devoured 3,600 Taos. After devouring so many Taos, he still hasn't reached the third step even after tens of thousands of years. However, if I don't devour, I won't grasp the karma domain, it remains stay vague and uncertain. If I don't have a direction, how should I seek Tao? Wang Lin's face was filled with uncertainty. The look in his eyes alternated between confusion and decisiveness as his right hand hovered above Yao Bingyun. However, no matter what, he couldn't truly press down his fingers. Time slowly passed. The sun traveled over the horizon, day changed into night, and 3 days went by. To Wang Lin, these 3 days felt like 300 years, and even his appearance seemed to have turned old. In these 3 days, his body didn't move. A storm set off in his heart that filled his body. Wang Lin muttered, "Tao. What is Tao?" Such words had come out from his mouth countless times during these 3 days. It was as if he was asking himself, and the confusion in his eyes became even stronger. In the end, what is Tao? While pursuing Tao, he didn't perceive that the origin energy in his body was going crazy. In the past 3 days, it went from slowly operating to gradually accelerating, until the third day, when it was like a storm that was almost going out of control. In the end, the origin energy came out of his body, forming a vortex. This vortex was black and white. The black and white vortex looked like yin and yang while rotating. Although integrated, they were clearly distinct from each other. This vortex became stronger and faster. Wang Lin was completely unaware of this as he was immersed in Tao seeking. His origin soul slowly reverted back from the ancient thunder dragon while he pursued his Tao. It actually turned back into his human form. It also sat down and raised its hand as if it was pointing at something, but it didn't place its hand back down. It was as if it was pointing at Wang Lin's life, his life of seeking Tao. Early in the morning, the first ray of sunlight fell on planet Qingling. The mortals on the planet awakened from their sleep and continued on with their simple and ordinary lives. Cultivators were cultivating the yang spiritual energy from the sun. Except today the spiritual energy seemed very active and several times richer than before. Almost all of the cultivators noticed this and were pleasantly surprised. They immediately looked for places to cultivate. Some people gradually found that when facing northeast, the spiritual energy they cultivated would be several times more dense, so some people flew toward the northeast. The northeast part of planet Qingling was where Hengyun Peak was. At this moment there were countless cultivators 5,000 kilometers away from Hengyun Peak. It was as if they were worshipping the mountain as they cultivated. Sometimes, a short period of cultivation can match several days of cultivation. At this moment, the image of heaven and earth appeared at the top of Hengyun Peak. White and black gas filled the summit and merged together, forming the image of yin and yang. From afar, the black and white image was extremely bright under the blue sky. It was like a painting, and it shocked the hearts of everyone who saw it. This shock came from the soul and spread across the soul. It seemed to contain a mysterious force that made them all immersed in it and unable to pull themselves out. What is Tao? At this moment, this ancient voice echoed inside the souls of all the cultivators on planet Qingling. This voice contained an ancient aura, as if it had experienced countless lives. There was a persistent pursuit for evidence to confirm his Tao. When it landed in everyone's ears, it stunned everyone. It was as if they were hit by lightning. Their hearts all involuntarily asked themselves, "What is Tao?" On Hengyun Peak, the cave around Wang Lin turned to dust with a gust of wind. It became dust that was blown far away by the wind and disappeared. The entire cave on the peak disappeared, leaving only Wang Lin and the unawakened Yao Bingyun. His fingers were still above Yao Bingyun's forehead. Above them was the yin and yang circular image. It was rotating slowly, and the spiritual energy on planet Qingling was being affected by it. The spiritual energy slowly spread. At this moment, if one looked from outside the planet, they would see that the entire planet was shrouded in black and white. It was a shocking sight. If someone with the blood ancestors' cultivation passed by, they would be shocked. This was something known as Dream Tao by people of the second step. Rumor had it that at the beginning, there was a mortal named Peng Zhu who was able to gain enlightenment in Tao from his dream. He became an ancient celestial and recorded down tens of thousands of Tao hearts. He could see through the sun and moon. Wang Lin was confused as he pursued the proof of his Tao. He was immersed in a dream. It was as if he had left his physical body and was slowly floating up. However, this was not his origin soul, as his origin soul was still there. What is Tao? Under this strange state, he felt his body slowly dissipate and become one with planet Qingling. It was as if he was the planet. In the dense jungle, a 3-foot-long python wrapped itself around a small beast that passed by. As its large body tightened slightly, the sound of bones breaking came from inside the small beast. Just as the python was about to devour the beast, its body suddenly trembled. It raised his big head to look into the distance. The coldness in its eyes disappeared and was replaced with confusion. This is not Tao. A sigh passed by like the wind and the coldness returned to its eyes. It then ruthlessly devoured the small beast and disappeared into the distance. Outside the jungle, there was a public road within the Green Mountains. There was a team of carriages galloping along the road. These carriages were made of exquisite material and gave off a fragrance. They gave off the feeling of wealth. The sounds of hooves and wheels echoed, but the carriage in front suddenly stopped and a 7- or 8-year-old girl jumped down. This girl was wearing silk clothes and her face was pink, as if she was made of jade. She felt something in her bosom as she got off the carriage with some difficulty. She took a few quick steps into the grass on the side. She squatted down and placed the thing in her arms onto the ground. It was a small beast with a bandage on its leg. "Little Black, go back." The girl's eyes revealed innocence and reluctance as she touched the small beast's head. The small beast looked up. It was as if he had intelligence and looked meaningfully at the girl. At this moment, the curtain of the carriage behind the girl was opened, exposing a man and woman. They were both middle-aged and they looked at the girl with loving gazes. The gentle breeze blew by, causing the curtain to flutter. The eyes of the two people in the carriage were filled with confusion. They weren't the only ones, all the surrounding mortals became like this. Even the girl was also filled with confusion. Only the small beast suddenly began to make hostile noises with its mouth and exposing its teeth. It seemed to have forgotten about its injuries and jumped behind the girl's back. It looked up at the sky and let out a long roar. There was fear in its eyes, but there was also a force in its eyes that made it not back down. At this moment, it didn't even notice that a trace of blood had come out of its bandaged leg. The heavens' Tao is endless, the path of Tao is boundless. The kind act of today will create karmic cause. In the future, the cycle will be completed and karmic effect will form. An ancient voice echoed across the world with a hint of enlightenment. The small beast's body trembled, but it still let out a roar. Its eyes were filled with intelligence as it looked up at the sky. It could feel that there was an aura that could suffocate it, but it wasn't willing to retreat. A sigh slowly came and gradually disappeared. The small beast was filled with confusion as it hadn't fully awakened its intelligence and couldn't understand what the sigh meant. However, the moment it heard the sigh, its vision blurred and it seemed to see something. An old woman in her twilight years was lying in a very luxurious room. Even though her face covered in wrinkles, they couldn't cover her kind appearance. Although she was dying, her eyes were not cloudy. She revealed a smile as she closed her eyes. Suddenly, a large and ferocious beast came from the sky. After the beast landed, it looked at the old woman and spat out a cloud of white gas. The white gas surrounded the old woman and then it left. Little Black, the old woman opened her eyes. The illusion disappeared and the little beast's eyes became even more confused. The breeze blew by and swept everything away. Everyone from the carriages became sober and had no idea anything had happened. Even the little girl was unaware. She smiled and turned back to the little beast. Little Black, go home. In a village in the mortal world, a middle-aged woman was pointing at a broken bowl and loudly reprimanding a child. The child looked extremely wronged as he stood there crying, but he didn't dare to say a word. Beside them was a middle-aged man. He was squatting on the ground holding a pip. After taking a few drags, he opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he only sighed. At this moment, the gentle breeze came by. The cursing stopped and the woman's eyes were filled with confusion. Not only her, but even the man smoking the pipe stopped. Only the child seemed not to notice and whispered while crying, "Mother, there was already a crack on the bowl. Tao is like this bowl, not perfect and filled with cracks. It can be broken at any time." An ancient sigh slowly came from the world and then left like a gentle breeze. The confusion disappeared from the woman's eyes and she continued to reprimand the child due to the heartache of the bowl breaking without being aware of what had happened. The middle-aged man picked up the pipe that fell on the ground and took a big drag. Only the child's eyes widened as he looked into the distant sky. He seemed to see an uncle stepping into the sky. The child disregarded his mother's scolding and rubbed his eyes, but after that, he saw nothing. Within the mountain there was a middle-aged man wearing a blue robe running through the mountain in panic. His eyes were filled with fear, as if he had encountered something terrifying. Behind him was a woman in black, chasing him with a sneer and hatred in her eyes. Every time she got close, she would raise her sword and mercilessly stab him, leaving him bleeding. She let out a sad laughter. "You damn officer, you caused the death of my family, but you fell into my hands today. If I don't kill you, then it will be offense to the heavens for giving me this chance." A gentle breeze came, and the man filled with panic and fear was suddenly filled with confusion. Even the black-robed woman was filled with confusion. She raised the sword in her hand, but it didn't fall. Another karmic cause and karmic effect, an ancient voice echoed with a sigh that slowly drifted away. When the gentle breeze was gone, the woman regained her senses. Her sword cut off the middle-aged man's head. She was filled with tears as he kneeled down weeping. "Father, mother, your child has gotten you revenge." Rain was falling down on a mortal city. There were flower umbrellas everywhere as pedestrians hurried through the streets. Their steps set off ripples in the water on the ground. One after another. It was as if every ripple was karma that came non-stop and became part of Tao. There was a gust of wind that could shatter the ripples. However, this was only temporary as the ripples quickly returned. It was as if the ripples would never end. In the distance, a group of people in white were playing funeral music and were slowly moving forward. There was a coffin among them, and they were carrying it slowly toward the city gate. Bursts of crying echoed. Whenever surrounding pedestrians encountered them, they would avoid the group. As the group progressed, pieces of yellow paper were scattered. They represented the relatives of the deceased and would open the path to the underworld, giving the deceased a peaceful send-off. Among the cries, some were real and some were fake, some filled sadness and others filled with excitement. A gentle breeze blew by and brought an ancient sigh that surrounded the area. "Death is the end of karma. All karma is destroyed at death," an illusory voice echoed as if questioning itself. The emotions inside the cries were silent. After answering his own question, this ancient voice gradually left. In an imperial palace, an army of soldiers stood at attention. A middle-aged man wearing a yellow robe was standing in front. He was staring ahead and his body gave off a powerful sense of sadness. One person walked out from the army beneath him. This man was in full armor and looked very powerful. If one took a closer look, he looked similar to the yellow-robed man. "Father, you are already old, please don't be reluctant to part." The sadness in the middle-aged man's eyes became even stronger. A silent breeze blew through the imperial palace, causing all the soldiers to be filled with confusion. "What kind of karma is this?" A light voice came with the wind and left the imperial palace. It diffused across the world, feeling the changes in life. Wang Lin traveled along, constantly trying to confirm his Tao. Sometimes he was confused, sometimes he had doubt, and sometimes he was puzzled. The heavens' Tao had no end, so trying to grasp it was very difficult. As he went along with the wind, Wang Lin seemed to experience a dream. In this dream, he seemed to have become planet Qingling. He could see, hear, and feel the actions of every living thing in the planet. He saw the birth of a baby, the death of an old man, the affection of parents, the gaze of a lover, partings, reunions, good deeds, and endless evil. In the end, what is Tao? Wang Lin was confused. After seeing all this, he still found no answer. As he continued to chase and search for his confirmation, he became even more confused. The spiritual energy on planet Qingling became more dense, but it contained a trace of confusion. Anyone who cultivated it would immediately become immersed in a mysterious realm and seemed to fuse with planet Qingling. At this moment, their minds were being controlled involuntarily to pursue a result. Wang Lin's pursuit continued and time slowly passed. To him, it seemed to have no end as he diffused across planet Qingling. During sunset in a private school in a village, after most children had left, only a young boy was left sweeping at the school. A gentle breeze blew by and startled the boy. His eyes shined brightly as he put down the broom and walked toward the teacher's house. "Teacher, student has a question." The door was pushed open. A wise-looking mortal old man walked out and gently replied, "What question?" The boy looked at the old man and calmly asked, "Teacher, do you know what Tao is?" "Tao?" The old man looked at the boy and waved his sleeves. "This old man teaches humanity, there is no Tao." The boy silently pondered and left. As the breeze drifted away, the boy's body trembled and he regained control. He was confused about what he just did. In a small town, a respected and admired old man named Xie lit an oil lamp late at night. He then picked up a scroll and was about to read it. A gentle breeze came into the room, causing the oil lamp to flicker, and the old man raised his head. An ancient voice appeared in the room. "You are the wise man in this town. Do you know what Tao is?" The old man's face immediately became pale and the scroll in his hand fell. His eyes were filled with terror as he trembled and said, "You? Are you a human or a ghost?" The ancient echoed once more, "What is Tao?" The old man took a deep breath as he forced himself to calm down and his voice trembled. This old man doesn't understand what Tao is. The voice disappeared into the distance with a sigh. The room returned to normal, but the old man was no longer in the mood to read. In a country's capital inside a school, there were countless students holding books and reading about humanities. In front was an old man in a white robe with his right hand stroking his beard and a smile on his face. Just at this moment, the gentle breeze blew by. One of the students immediately put down the book in his hand, stood up, and calmly said, "Teacher, do you know what Tao is?" The moment the boy's voice was heard, the surroundings became quiet. The old man's expression was not pleasant and he said, "The heavens is Tao." The boy shook his head. After he sat down, his body trembled and he returned to normal. No one noticed that the breeze had left the school. The breeze scattered across planet Qingling. Almost every scholar on the planet was asked this question through various means. In the end they all had different answers, but no one could give a clear answer. Confused, Wang Lin was immersed inside his dream and continued to seek without end. It was as if he could go on seeking the true meaning of Tao forever. On this day, the old man named Xie that was questioned by Wang Lin was circling inside his house and wasn't able to calm down. It was as if the ancient voice would echo inside his mind whenever he calmed down. He let out a heavy sigh before picking up his umbrella and walking out on this rainy day. As he wandered through the town, his eyes were filled with confusion. What is Tao? I thought that I was filled with knowledge and that I had seen through the world. However, I was stumped by what that strange ghost asked me. What is Tao? While confused, the old man subconsciously came to the northern part of the city. There was an old man sitting on the side of the river. The old man was wearing a raincoat as he threw the net into the river to catch fish. The old man named Xie looked at all this without any focus in his eyes and muttered to himself, "What is Tao?" At this moment, the old man wearing the raincoat let out a shout of joy as he pulled in the fish net, which was filled with a large amount of fish. The fish constantly struggled and opened their mouths to try to swallow some river water. Their eyes seemed to be filled with despair as their bodies fiercely struggled in the net. This scene that struck the old man named Xie like lightning. His whole body trembled as he stared at the fish in the net and the old man reeling in the net. Could this be Tao? I'm the fish, the net is the Tao, and the river is the heavens. The old man with the net is creator that controls fate. As the old man named Xie's mind trembled, a violent wind filled the world. This violent wind contained the power of the heavens and earth. The old man with the net was frightened. He loosened the net and sat on the ground, filled with terror. Even the old man named Xie took a few steps back and forced himself to calm down. The wind condensed to form a person, Wang Lin. He lowered his head to look at the fish that returned to the river with enlightenment in his eyes. He raised his hand filled with spiritual energy and it entered the body of the old man named Xie. You gifted me enlightenment, so I'll gift you an opportunity. It was as if the earth-shattering thunder from the beginning of time had landed on Wang Lin. His mind rumbled violently, he understood. The Tao of the heavens is something everyone can prove and everyone can confirm. The heavens is not Tao. Tao is formed by the will of the heavens and earth. Everyone can have this will. Just like the fish that lives in the river. It doesn't violate the heavens or provoke yin and yang, it lives peacefully and free. This river is the heavens, the world. The fish is all living things that exist inside the world. However, the net pulls the fish out from the river. This net is Tao, the laws of the world. No matter where you are, you won't be able to escape Tao. This net will one day pull the fish out from the river. Once out of the river, the fish will face the laws of the world. Either it obeys and enters the reincarnation cycle or it must revolt. Break the net and revolt. Cultivators are like the struggling fish. The more they fiercely struggle, the more they defy Tao. This is Tao. Whether it is life and death or karma, all of it is formed by the will of Tao. I'm karma. The wind whistled through the sky and took Wang Lin into the sky, leaving no trace. He left behind the terrified old man in the raincoat and the old man named Xie felt warmth in his body. The old man named Xie muttered, Is he a person or is he a ghost? The wind scattered and merged with planet Qingling. At this moment, the spiritual energy increased countless fold. Countless spirit veins formed and endless spiritual energy gushed out. Spiritual energy filled one river after another and they became green. As spiritual energy gushed out from the earth, spirit stones formed in ordinary mountains, causing the mountains to become spirit mountains. All of this was because of Wang Lin. When Wang Lin was in the dream Tao, he became one with planet Qingling. He was the planet and the planet was him. Wang Lin's enlightenment in Tao was because he became planet Qingling. This caused a series of drastic changes. It was as if planet Qingling had also gained enlightenment. People have spirit, so they can comprehend Tao. Beasts have souls, so they can also be enlightened. Everything in this world that has a spirit or soul can comprehend Tao. This planet has a soul and can also be enlightened. Wang Lin merged with planet Qingling and gained enlightenment. At this moment, he clearly felt planet Qingling's soul. This was the first time he had clearly felt a soul that was different from a cultivator's. This kind of soul was illusory, but it existed. It had no thoughts, but there was an instinctive power. This power came from the countless cultivators on planet Qingling, from the lives and deaths of all the mortals and creatures. It had been brewing for countless years. Back then, the scattered demon could pull the soul of a planet. Now if I want to, I can as well. This mighty voice echoed across planet Qingling. It turned into countless thunder booms that spread across the planet. Countless mortals began to worship this thunder roar. Countless cultivators' minds trembled as they knelt down and worshipped this thunder. Among the mortals, the old man named Xie stared blankly in the sky. The tremble from his soul filled his body. It was as if he was evolving at this moment. He isn't a ghost. A kind of enlightenment appeared inside the heart of the old man named Xie. He was silent but walked out with resolve. The spiritual energy on planet Qingling began to increase like crazy. All of the nascent soul cultivators in closed-door cultivation who were trying to break into the soul formation stage felt the spiritual energy inside their bodies begin to rotate rapidly. Wang Lin's enlightenment caused a drastic change on planet Qingling. Those who had been at the nascent soul stage for a long time that couldn't step into the soul formation gained huge benefits from Wang Lin's enlightenment. Those that were half a step into the soul formation stage gained enlightenment in their own domains and reached the soul formation stage. Wang Lin allowed planet Qingling to break through the limit that prevented cultivators from reaching the soul formation stage. This caused planet Qingling reach completion. This planet was not a wasted planet like it seemed on the surface, but still a child. If given enough time, countless years from now it will be able to form spirit veins and become a true spiritual planet. Wang Lin's enlightenment accelerated the planet's growth and allowed it to have dense spiritual energy ahead of time. Hengyun Peak was the origin of Wang Lin's enlightenment. At this moment, from the ground up, every inch of it turned into spirit stone and it became a real spirit mountain. The richness of the spiritual energy there was unimaginable. At this moment, power from all directions on planet Qingling began to condense here. This power was illusory, but all of the cultivators noticed it. Even mortals could clearly feel it. This power rapidly condensed on Hengyun Peak and into Wang Lin's body. At this moment, Wang Lin woke up. His eyes were bright, but they seemed to contain the universe. His expression was joyous, but the might of heaven surrounded him. His face was pale, but it contained a hint of brightness. Wang Lin's body gave off the aura of someone who had become aware of their own Tao and obtained full control of themselves. This body was here and his origin soul was here. However, if a cultivator came and closed their eyes, they wouldn't be able to detect Wang Lin's existence at all. It was as if Wang Lin had already merged with the world. Before, when he merged with the world, his body would disappear. However, even though his body and origin soul were there right now, they gave off the feeling that he had merged with the world. It was as if with a thought, distance no longer existed. It was as if his thought was karma. The heavens leave no trace. I have inadvertently entered my own karma. If not for enlightenment, I fear I would not have awakened. This matter is strange. It was as if many thoughts filled my mind and replaced my sanity to force me to act toward a certain ideal. Wang Lin raised his head as he stared at the sky and revealed a cold gaze. His gaze was filled with killing intent and contained endless coldness. As he looked up at the sky, there was an infinite power coming from planet Qingling. It came from every cultivator, every mortal, every living thing. This power gathered toward Wang Lin like crazy and shot out toward the sky. At this moment, if planet Qingling was the river, then all the creatures on the planet were struggling fish. They had all gathered inside Wang Lin to revolt against the heavens. This video will end here.